Hi everybody, and welcome to my video on Blacklight Retribution. This is not actually going to be a gameplay video, but I'm going to walk you through some of the features of this excellent free-to-play first-person shooter from Perfect World Entertainment. The game is highly customizable from gear all the way down to your gun, and I'm going to go through some of the features and the customization that BLR affords you. Here's the main screen that you come up to when you first get into the game. You have some options on the left, you have some profile information over here in the top, and on the right is your social menu. When you bring up your social menu, you'll see things like your stats. Ignore this, this is incorrect. I've never even actually had these weapons, they're just... This stuff down here is not correct, the level is. You'll see things like your titles, your current emblem, what you've got unlocked. Over here you'll have a friends list, clan information if you're in one, mail, inventory, your nodes, some news, and support. Now over here for your mail, every time you level up, I'm level 16, the cap right now is 30. Every time you level up, the game actually goes ahead and mails you rewards. So you can see here that all of these items that say level up rewards were things mailed to me for simply going up in level. When you open one up, there's an attachment. And it can be anything from a weapon tag chance to actual boxes of gear. And we'll see what one of those looks like. So here's my pack that I got for turning 16, and once you take the items, they appear here in your inventory. Orange are things that I've used but haven't repurchased. White are things that I have available. And if you come down here, you'll see something that says consumable. That means it's in my inventory, but I haven't activated it yet. If I activate it, now I got the bulldozer tag. And if I was to activate one of these items, essentially what's in these reward packs are gun parts. Gun parts, camo, scope, stock, things like that. And that's what we'll actually go ahead and take a look at now. Over here under customization, this is the Grendel hero. He is a pre-formed, pre-packaged hero that you get for leveling up. All of his gear is set. You can't mess with it. It's a complete all-in-one package. Mostly when you see Grendels running around on a map, they're usually terrible. Most people do not play the Grendel hero particularly well. He's a little slower than most setups, but he has a lot of health. He's still as vulnerable to a headshot as anybody. He's just a big fat fatty. And most people do not play him well. They're terrible. They tend to run into fights like he's the Incredible Hulk, and they get plowed. I've had some pretty good success with the Grendel. Usually if I play, 4 or 5 maps at a clip, 4 of them I'll do really well, and 1 of them I'll just have trouble getting my feet under me, but most people playing a Grendel are absolutely awful. As you can see here, his equipment is set except for the trophy item, which you can change. His gear, his armor, all of this is set. Your depot items you can change, except for the last one, which is the minigun, the heavy minigun. And his weapons, which are down here as loadout 6, are set. When you use Grendel, you get this light machine gun with a decent scope on it. And you also get this pistol, which is essentially his sniper rifle. In close to mid-range combat, you want to use his light machine gun, and somebody at range, you actually want to use this particular machine pistol. It's got a suppressor on it and a somewhat decent scope. Now in order to see the real customization, I actually have to take my hero off and go to my normal character. And for your equipment, you can set things like your helmet. Your helmet affects your health. It affects your HRV time, which is basically like a wall hack that you activate in-game. It affects things like your armor. This is, I'll show you the hat that I typically use over here. The hat I normally run with is this one. Relatively good health, good armor, but unfortunately it makes me run a little bit slower, and my recharge time on the HRV unfortunately goes up. For the chest, I typically use a heavy chest over here. I normally use this one. Boots, kinda is what I'm feeling that particular day. I usually use these heavy boots over here. Health goes up, stamina goes up. Unfortunately, the run speed goes down. Trophies, it's the only one I've got. Camo, I usually don't use any camo other than the default. But as you can see here, you've got some pretty wide variety of options. For the gear, I use the standard loadout, which is typically a... I usually don't use anything in the revival slot, but the heal injector is really good if you've got it unlocked. Usually go with a standard grenade, and a combat knife. But you've got some options over here like a decoy, stun mines, shock grenades, the machete, and the highest melee weapon you can get currently is this thing called a breach hammer. It has a huge lunge range, so you'll be backing up shooting somebody that's running at you like a zombie in a horror film, and you'll think they're a good 10 feet away from you, and they'll take this massive lunge and knock your head off with this breach hammer. It's a weapon that comes under a lot of fire when it's used on maps, especially when people are starting to use it exclusively. For grenades, you have things like shock grenades that mess up your vision, toxic grenades that eat away at you, high explosives, the machete, the proximity mine. This is really good in domination. Take over a node and drop a proximity mine on it. Here's a blackout node. Essentially, you drop it out on the ground, and anytime somebody uses an HRV and tries to look at something in a blackout node, they can't actually see into it. It's obscured, so you can kind of hide in one. My depot is usually the health kit, the ammo kit, the flamethrower, which gets people out of hard suits without damaging the hard suit that much. This is good for burning a pilot out of a mech. Rocket launchers take out regular people, also does a huge amount of damage to mechs, and you have things like the normal one, the swarm, which takes out big groups of people. It's good for King of the Hill. An RPG launcher, Trident minigun. Now this comes with the hero. This is a tertiary weapon, or a heavy weapon that the hero has. It sounds exactly like the minigun on a hard suit. So if you sneak up on people and start firing it, it scares the crap out of them because they think a hard suit is right on top of them. You have a turret similar to the NG turret in TF2, airstrike, and you have a railgun, which is exactly like the railgun on a hard suit. Really good snipers are really strong if they get a hold of one of these. And this is the little hard suit launcher over here. Anytime you've got the money to buy a hard suit and you use it, it's really recommended you turn on your HRV and look around you and make sure you're not going to get ganked before the hard suit comes down. For your weapons, your standard loadout is a it's an assault rifle receiver, but you can set things like a bolt action, similar to Battlefield 3's sniper rifles. A combat rifle, which does increased damage over the standard assault rifle, but it doesn't auto-fire. Every mouse click is a different shot, but it has no cooldown, unlike a bolt-action rifle. Burst fire will do 3 or 4 shots at once per mouse click. SMG is full auto, less damage than the assault rifle, but a much higher fire rate, and typically very little recoil, but the spread on an SMG it's a real spray weapon. And you've got a light machine gun, which has got the highest spread, but the most amount of ammo per clip and the most amount of carrying capacity. This is a really powerful gun in close quarters, but it sucks at range. And you have to be of a decent player in order to use an LMG successfully. And the best thing you can do is if you kill somebody and you know nobody else is around, reload fast, so you're not caught out with a really long reload. Your muzzle will allow you to change things like put a silencer muzzle on, which would be this one. It generally affects the damage, the range, and the recoil of your guns. I typically use either this Vulcan or this Typhoon for my normal ones. The barrels, again, affect things like range, spread, and recoil. This one is one of the better barrels available at my level. Also, this is a really good barrel. And so is this one. When you're customizing a weapon, as you're getting used to the game, you want to go with a loadout for your guns that ups your damage, decreases your spread, and decreases your recoil. Your range, it's up to you. It all depends on if you feel like sniping or killing people in close quarters. Your magazines allow you to either run faster, reload faster, have increased ammo, and then you get into things at the higher levels like explosive ammunition, fire-based ammunition that does damage over time. You'll have toxic ones. You'll have electric ones that are good for getting people out of hard suits. You'll have a drum, which is a huge capacity increase. Here's a toxic one. The variety of scopes in this game is absolutely nutty. You have like standard flip-up ones, you have dot ones, you have heavy zoom ones like this, more dot ones, hollow ones. This is one of the best ones here. And essentially, depending on what kind of scope you're running, it can increase or decrease your scope in time. And it also affects things like your zoom and your range. You can see here the zoom goes way up. The effective range of the bullets goes up, but the scope in time goes down. Generally, the better the scope, the longer it takes to zoom in. And dot scopes generally require very little zoom in time. Your stocks tend to do things like decrease your reload time, decrease your recoil, and decrease your spread. Again, when you're setting up your first gun and you're getting used to the game, you're going to want to do things that decrease your spread, decrease your recoil. This is one of my favorites over here for my standard weapon. As you can see, the spread gets tighter. The scope and time and the run time, unfortunately, go a little bit down. This is a really light stock over here. Good for agile characters that like to run, like CTF cappers. As you can see here, the stock selection is about as varied as the scope. You can change your weapon tag over here. Now, if you remember earlier in the video, I got that bulldozer one, which is this. But most times your tags don't actually do a whole lot. They do some things like your weapon speed switches. I mean, they're mostly vanity, but as you can see here, it's doing some things like stamina, movement speed. Camo, just like camo on your gear, it affects the gun. And you can also customize your secondary weapon. One of the best secondary weapons you can unlock or purchase early with Zen is a revolver, and then this one. This shotgun is amazingly powerful in close quarters combat. Again, kind of like the breach hammer, gets you under a lot of fire. When you use it a lot on maps, people will start calling you shoddy noobs. You can do things here like change the barrel, change the muzzle. You can change the clips, and you have toxic and incendiary clips on this. You can put scopes on your secondaries. As you can see here, there's the same scope as the primary weapons. And you can also change the camos here. So here's a pretty much, that's a rundown of your customization in Blacklight. This was recorded about 5 o'clock Eastern time, so we'll show you what the servers look like. And all these that say 16 are filled. And you have ones like TDM, Domination, CTF, Team King of the Hill, and Flat Up DM. So there you go. There's a customization of Blacklight Retribution. There's what the servers look like. I gotta go ahead and set myself back to Fatty. And I hope you get the chance to get into the open beta testing of Blacklight Retribution and play the game when it actually goes live. Again, it's Blacklight Retribution, or BLR, and it's from Perfect World Entertainment. You can go to blacklight.perfectworld.com and see if you can get into the open beta, and hope to see you out there on the field. Thanks a lot, folks, and have a good one.